Following that, we will have a Q&A with Pat and Matt up here. We'll use it the way we normally do our media interview or our media press talk conferences. Then we have, at the conclusion of that, we'll have a photo opportunity. We'll clear the dais and do a photo with Pat, Matt, and Neely and a couple others. We do ask that the photographers stay on the sides or behind all of the desks, and that everybody who is seated, please stay seated. And then the field will be opening following the press conference, but please, for stand-ups or whatever you need to do out there, but please remain on the turf portion. Do not go on to the field. Anything else I missed, Greg? Great. Then we'll get started here in a few minutes. For those of you who are standing, if you are not an active photographer or anything of that nature, please grab one of the theater seats just so that we can keep the sides a little bit clear. So, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Peterson, Senior Associate Athletic Director for Strategic Communications. We'd like to welcome everybody to today's press conference, and as we begin a new chapter in Penn State football history. It's my pleasure now to introduce the President of Penn State, Neely Bendapudi, to open our press conference. Neely?
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Character, culture, community, excellence. These are not just words. These are principles that we discuss and do our very best to live by in my leadership team. Every one of them will tell you we talk about these. At the heart of that pursuit is bringing in exceptional leaders who share our values. And it's for that reason that I'm truly so thrilled that Coach Matt Campbell is joining our Nittany Lions family. Coach, we are equally honored to welcome your family here today to Penn State and to Happy Valley. Erica, Katie, Izzy, Rudy, and Rocco, welcome. You now just have become part of a huge family, just so you know. It's not just our 800,000 strong alumni network, but the millions of extended family. The Penn Staters by marriage, the Penn Staters by affinity, they will all embrace you with warmth and generosity, make you part of this family, just as they have done with all of us. Character, culture, community, excellence. These are the words that Coach Campbell used to explain to me what he thinks success looks like. I knew immediately we have the right person. He has a special ability and a proven track record of building and elevating winning programs, cultures, and people. He has shown determination in developing elite athletes, but equally as importantly, young men who excel academically, personally, and professionally. These are men who are better people for having been coached by him. We talked about how we need to prepare our student athletes for life beyond that last buzzer, because it doesn't matter if you play at the college level or at the pros, at some point, there's life beyond that last buzzer. Interestingly to me, people who have known Coach Campbell for decades and people who tell me they've been tracking him and trying to recruit him for years, every single one of them speaks to his integrity. They speak to his grit, his relentless pursuit of excellence on and off the field and in all spheres. Apparently, he's pretty fierce at intramural basketball. That's what I've heard. So, first of all, thank you to our Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics and our Athletic Director, Pat Kraft, for leading the successful search to find the right leader for us. Before I turn the mic over to Pat, there are a few people who deserve a special shout out today. As your president, I first want to acknowledge our football team. You young men, every single one of you, you make us proud with your resiliency, your focus, your commitment, and your character every day, but especially now during a difficult transition. Thank you to our athletics and football staff. Thank you to our fans, to our donors, our supporters. Thank you to my administrative team for stepping up in a big way to help us get to this day. So legal, HR, Stratcom, my chief of staff, Michael Wade, thank you to all of you. I thank our trustees. Thank you for your support and your commitment to building a championship football program. Thank you, Chair Kleppinger, for being here representing our board. Importantly, a very special thank you to Coach Terry Smith. Thank you for stepping up and showing us what true dedication to Penn State and to our student athletes looks like. I am truly proud to have you as a Penn Stater. Today ushers in a new day for Penn State athletics, and for our flagship football program. I have the highest level of confidence in Coach Campbell as he works to build this football program that brings a new era of winning to our university, that places our student athletes' success on the field, in the classroom, and in life at the center of everything we do, that meets the challenges of a changing college sports landscape while also seizing the new opportunities that lie ahead for us, and that stands unwavering in its commitment to integrity. I so look forward to seeing the lasting impact that Coach Campbell will have for Penn State and for our student athletes. And with that, I will turn this over to Pat. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Neely. Can I move this? Can I just? Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for being here, what I believe is a pivotal day for our athletic department. I want to begin by expressing my gratitude, much like President Beneputi, to so many people who are influential and important in this process. I do start with our amazing president, who's a great leader and a mentor for myself and for so many of us on the cabinet. Board Chair David Kleppinger, Vice Chair Sokoloff, the President's Council, who many of you are over there, and Michael Wade Smith for his partnership, leadership, their unwavering support and belief in what was right for the future of Penn State. It was a true effort by everybody to get us to this day, and we're so excited for that. I want to thank my staff all around here, coaches and all. It's a journey, and when we're all moving in different directions, everybody did an absolutely remarkable job holding down the fort and getting us to where we are today. And I'm so grateful for everybody in our ICA family. It takes everyone to get to this point and finding a new head coach. I'm so appreciative to our student athletes. Obviously, you know how I feel about our football team. And we're excited to go and finish this season off against Clemson in New York. But I'm so proud of them and Terry and what they've done to handle this adversity. It's been pretty remarkable to see, and we're excited to cap the year off. I'm really appreciative to Nittany Nation. You all are the best, the most passionate fans in the world, I believe. And I am really, really grateful and thankful for each of you. Over the past several weeks, this community has been tested. We've been challenged. And we've been reminded that Penn State football is woven into the very fabric of this institution. Through this process, we found the right person to lead the most storied program in all of sport. This program has been built on toughness, humility, and togetherness. Penn State football today emerges tougher, clearer, and more driven than ever before. And we turn a page to a new era. We're introducing a leader who embodies everything Penn State stands for: a builder, a fighter, a standard bearer of what this place can be at its very best. A coach whose teams compete with a chip on their shoulder and conviction in their hearts. A coach who is committed to shaping complete men, mind, body, character, and purpose, because he believes greatness is forged way beyond just the practice fields. He doesn't just coach players. He cultivates leaders, scholars, teammates, and future fathers who carry Penn State's values with them for the rest of their lives. Matt Campbell is one of the most respected coaches in the country, and he has earned that. Matt Campbell is Penn State. Hard-nosed, humble, relentless, a developer of young men, and he's built for championships. He embraces our expectations not as pressure, but as a privilege. And with him, Penn State football enters a new era of toughness, discipline, accountability, and identity. Our fans, and I reiterate, our fans, the absolute best in the country. You deserve a team that plays with fire, passion, and purpose. And Matt Campbell delivers that. Coach is here to unite this community. He's here to energize our locker room. And he's here to restore a championship mindset. And along with Matt, equally or maybe even more important, we're welcoming a new family to our community. Erica, Katie, Izzy, Rudy, and Rocco embody everything we value: character, heart, and commitment. Great programs, elite programs, are built around great people. And this is a great family we are bringing to Happy Valley. So, make absolutely no mistake about it. Penn State football is once again a program that no one wants to see on their schedule anymore. I am honored, humbled, and can't tell you how excited I am for you to get to know Coach. And I'd like to welcome the new head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions, Matt Campbell.
Thank you. I'm going to take a second. It's been a whirlwind. I'm going to say this. I'm humbled, honored, grateful to be standing before all of you, this world-class university, this world-class athletic department, and truly one of the greatest football programs in the world. And it's an absolute honor to be the next head football coach here at Penn State University. The last 5 days have been a whirlwind. They have been. And as fate has it, it's this full circle moment in my life, our family's life, this young boy that grew up in Massillon, Ohio, and all you heard about was Todd Blackledge. And you understood his excellence and what he stood for, and watched my father compete against him. To, spending so much of my childhood in Carmichael's, Pennsylvania. My great-grandfather who worked in the coal mines, my grandparents who worked in Carmichael's, Pennsylvania, and all you heard around those family discussions was Coach Paterno and the toughness and the character of the Penn State football program. To this 16-year-old tight end who was started to get recruited, and you couldn't stop watching number 81, this Kyle Brady, and all you kept saying is, man, someday I want to be like that guy. It's a dream come true for me. It's one of the greatest honors of my life, and I couldn't be more grateful to be here. I do want to thank our incredible leadership team that has believed in me. I know this culture and excellence is always built on leadership. And we talk so much in our program that everything rises and falls with great leadership. And from the first moment this process started, you could feel the excellence of leadership that exists at this great university. And I know that vision starts, President Bendaputi, your conversation, who you are and what you're about is unbelievable. You're authentic, you care, and your belief, you can tell, breeds excellence into every orifice of this university. I will promise you I'm going to represent you and this university with absolute honor and integrity every step of the way. Pat, you're one of the most finest, accomplished athletic directors in the country. Your competitiveness and passion jump off the conversation. I love that you demand excellence every step of the way. your vision, your work ethic, whew, it's incredible. The team of people that you put around you, the coaches, it's created the best athletic department in all of college athletics. We'll demand the same standards of excellence every single day I walk into that facility. And Nittany Nation, I'm going to say this. Man, I'm going to demand a similar standard of excellence that the last great Iowa State coach that came here. And that last great Iowa State coach is Cael Sanderson. And I can't thank Cael enough. He spent 45 minutes with me on the phone 2 nights ago, and we talked about our similar journeys and similar paths. We've watched Cael from afar and talked about building excellence in a program the way Cael has. And to be able to link arms with him, I couldn't be more grateful. And Cael, I really appreciate your time. And I also want to thank Governor Shapiro. You know, his times, words, and encouragement during this journey and this process were incredible. To be able to have him take the time to call Thursday night and talk to me about the integrity and the grit and the character of the great people of this state and what this institution means to the state of Pennsylvania, I couldn't be more grateful. And Governor Shapiro will make you really proud of what this football program stands for. In my own journey, I want to say some thank yous, and I have to start off at Iowa State. I think the hardest thing for me was leaving the great people at Iowa State who took a chance on me. I want to say thank you to Jamie Pollard, our athletic director. Man, at 36 years old, he gave me the keys to build a football program and said, we want to do something that hasn't been done here before. We built an incredible staff. That foundation was built on caring, unify, and inspire the young men that come into our football program day in and day out. To build great men of character, to stand for what's right on the field and off the field. And I also have to say, I can't thank our players enough. For 10 years, they trusted in to myself and our staff every single day. Their belief, their commitment to stay the course with me. One of the hardest moments of my life was Friday night to walk in and to leave so many of our great young men that believed in me, that believed in our coaches, and that signed up to be a part of our great program. But what I do know is in our 10 years, we rewrote history. Every single step of the way, we wrote history. From 3-9 to the greatest era ever in the history of Iowa State football. One of the best Big 12 programs in the country. We went face to face with everybody that had more than us, and we competed and beat them every step of the way. I also want to thank the great community and the alumni base and the former players who embraced us at Iowa State. They made it bigger than just winning football games. They made it about, man, serving a community, the impact of making a difference every step of the way. Our team GPA was a 3.4 team GPA the last two years at Iowa State. We had 100 players out of 120 that had over a 3.0 GPA, 54 of them over a 3.5. And you know when that showed? When it got really hard, when it got really tough in the fourth quarter. Man, after a tough loss, our ability to respond was because our young men's ability to how they did anything is how they did everything. I also want to thank the University of Toledo. Mike O'Brien took a shot at as a 31-year-old offensive line coach and offensive coordinator to become the head coach at the University of Toledo. Had no expectation that that was going to happen, and I know I wouldn't be here without Mike's belief in me and all those great Toledo football players, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of them. To my football mentors, I've got 3 of the best. First of all, my father. To grow up with a father that's a high school football coach, my greatest memories from my brother and I were being on the sidelines of two-a-days and the opportunity to watch him impact and inspire young men. He taught us work ethic and do the right thing every step of the way. To my high school football coach, who's one of my greatest mentors, one of the winningest head football coaches in the history of Ohio high school football. You walked into him as a 16-year-old young man and you left as an 18-year-old man because he taught you the values of attitude and effort and how to wake up every day and demand the best of yourself. And then this unbelievable journey in college for a gentleman that is the winningest coach in the history of college football, a gentleman by the name of Larry Karras. And the opportunity to win 3 national championships and play under this unbelievable mentor. And everybody was trying to figure out, man, what's going on at Mount Union? Why is there all this success? But nobody could figure out. There was only one sign, and it said this: faith, family, football. He ingrained it into us every step of the way, and it's allowed me to live my life the right way, and I'm really grateful for him. The greatest blessing in my life, the greatest blessing we have is my family. This is awesome, but the greatest win is what's sitting in front of me. And to my wife, Erica, we've been married 20 years, and she's been my rock. We've been through a lot, and it hasn't been easy. But she's the most selfless human I've ever met. And what she's done for myself and our kids and our family, it's hard to repay you. For Katie and Izzy, 2 unbelievable daughters, 18 and 16, gosh, who you become, what you're about, and what you stand for, allowing me to do this every step of the way and being some of my greatest supporters. I can't thank you guys enough. And to my 2 young sons, Rudy, probably going to be a defensive end someday. We had to get this Courtney Brown. I had to go back in the archives, man. Defensive end for sure, and show him Courtney Brown. This Browns fan, at some point had to talk about Courtney Brown and his great success. And my little guy Rocco is going to be a great quarterback someday. We kind of started talking about Kerry Collins and all those great Penn Staters. And so I'm really grateful for each and every one of you. And this was a family decision. We're going to surround ourselves, and we weren't going to surround ourselves unless it was going to be great people. And thank you for believing in me. Thank you for all you do for me. I want to also talk about my parents. I talked about my father, but I think sometimes who doesn't get talked enough about is my mother. And she's one of the toughest and great humans in my life. And, I think the opportunity for me to be back around 2.5 hours, 3 hours from their doorstep. And my mom is tough. She's gritty. She's an educator. And she is a public servant. And I've always said, I think one of the greatest gifts for me is I got the greatest of both of my amazing parents, and I'm really grateful to have 2 great parents, Erica's parents, Melody and Tim. So grateful for their support of me. I'll finish with this, some acknowledgments, and first and foremost, I want to talk about Coach Terry Smith. I got to meet Coach Smith during my time when he was the head football coach at Gateway, and I was recruiting at the University of Toledo. And Terry was always such an inspiring human to be around. I loved going to watch him interact with his players. We loved to go recruit his players because you knew if you got a great player from Terry, you knew what they stood for, and it was bigger than just football. It's been so awesome to watch his commitment to Penn State, to watch how he's led this football program and football team through tough and trying times. It's been rewarding. I know he's the cornerstone of this program, as a player, as a student athlete, and now as an incredible football coach. And it is my honor to work hand in hand with Terry to build on this great foundation moving forward. I would also say this, for Coach Franklin and what he built here at Penn State, I have the utmost respect for him. For Coach O'Brien and, man, what he stood for here in these great halls, I have the utmost respect for him. And I understand it's my responsibility to continue to build on the values that those great men have instilled in this program. To our current players, I can't wait to meet with each and every one of you today. What I would just say is the great reward for me is I've always said the greatest climb in life is the climb back. And to watch those young men be on a 3-game winning streak here at the end of this football season as so much adversity has hit them, it's been inspiring. And they get this unbelievable opportunity to go win 4 in a row at the end of the season for these great seniors, for themselves, and for the future of our program. Man, to give us unbelievable momentum in 2026. I'm really proud of what those guys are about. I can't wait to be around them, and I can't wait to ingrain myself in each and every one of your lives. I think to a really special group, this Penn State football letterman. I walked into Lash yesterday, in this incredible letterman wall, 2,200 names. And you can almost feel goosebumps going down the side of my arms, and you're looking at some of these incredible names, some of the best, Jack Ham, some of these incredible, the best ever to play the sport of football. You knew their excellence and what they stood for, a blue blood football program, no question. The sacrifice, the passion of so many of you individually to become the best and collectively to have some of the greatest teams in the history of college football. I know this, it's my responsibility to each and every one of you, every single step of the way to link arms with you, to unify us, and to continue to push this program to the greatest heights it's ever seen. I know what I'm inheriting. I know what my responsibility is. And to be honest with you, to link arms with every one of our lettermen, our former players, and to unify this football program into the greatest football power in the country, I can't wait for that opportunity. And last but not least, I want to say thank you to our fans, our alumni, our student body. Your loyalty to Penn State football resonates all over the country. I know it's the greatest fan base. I know game days here in Beaver Stadium with 107,000 plus is one of the greatest environments in the world of football. It's my mission to make you proud of this football team, how we play, how we do things, and truly appreciate your loyalty and faithfulness to Penn State football, and can't wait to make you proud of what we're about. I'll finish with this, and life change happens. Change is inevitable. It happens. Adversity happens. It's coming. It always is, and it always will. But greatness and how we respond to adversity is a choice. From this day forward, we're going to wake up every single day in this football program, and we're going to build championship habits. And we're going to do it one day at a time. And we're going to do it from the ground up. And we're going to do it in a football program that's going to demand toughness, mental and physical toughness, demand discipline at every corner, and demand, most importantly, togetherness. Selflessness and togetherness. One team, one program, unified to continue the great pride and the great tradition of Penn State football. I can't thank everybody enough for coming. I look forward to spending time with each and every one of you. It is truly my great honor to be the head football coach here at Penn State University. And I want to finish with this so I don't screw it up. I hear this is how we got to finish it. So we are
Penn State.
We are
Penn State.
We are
Penn State.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
All right, now we'll open our Q&A. Raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start with Rich and then Audrey.
Thank you.
And if you can hold your hands up for a second. I didn't get everybody.
Okay. Matt, welcome to Penn State. You've had other opportunities in the past to go other places, including the NFL. Why now? Why Penn State, and why now?
Yeah, that's a great question. COVID hit in 2020. And I became a head football coach at 31 years old. And I was drinking out of a fire hose, to be honest with you. And until COVID hit and you had this grace period, you usually don't get that until they fire you. And you're sitting at home that spring, and I remember looking at my wife. We had 4 children at the time, and I said, this is what's going on at home. And it was humbling, to be honest with you. And I think we came out of COVID, and for us, one of the things that it really made me perspective, because I think I was the guy that, man, do I want to bounce around? I want to go do the next big thing. And it said, no, you better have some priorities in your life. Number one is, if you're ever going to leave or you're ever going to move, it better be about your family. We're 2.5 hours away from home. To be able to have my father and my mother and my brother and my wife's family be able to come be a part of this journey with me, that means a lot. I think number 2, I always said you want to be around great people. You want to, if we're going to lead, we want to lead with the best. It was one conversation with Pat and one conversation with Neil. I knew what their demand is, and they wanted to be the best for the right reasons. And then I think the last piece of it is, what do you want to stand for? And I think the hard thing for me ever wanting to leave Iowa State at times and getting close, but saying, you know what, it's just not the right time, is I never wanted to be that coach that was, oh man, I'm going to jump from job to job. Like if we were ever to leave Iowa State, I wanted to go somewhere and I wanted to finish my career and I wanted to stand for something that's bigger than Matt Campbell. It's not about me, but about the players and represents something bigger than myself. And I found that. And I couldn't be more humbled and more grateful for that opportunity.
Can we also ask media members to introduce themselves? Audrey, and then we'll go to John.
Hi, Audrey Snyder with Inside the Lions. This is for Pitt. Can you kind of take us through your timeline with this search, and at what point did Matt become a candidate, and how you kind of worked through that?
Yeah, I think, I won't go into deep into the search because, as you know, there's a lot of things going on. We didn't really have a timeline, and I mean that. We were focused on finding the right person, and at all cost. And probably be a Netflix documentary at some point. But the way that Matt and I got to each other through some twists and turns in the road, but I needed a partner that I had trust and belief in to take this role. And because it was so important, this department needs a leader for this role in this institution. And so as things went around, I would echo what it was: a late night phone call for the two of us, and I'll give you this, and I was banging my head against the wall, like, why did it take so long for us to find each other? He was perfect, and we connected on so many levels. And it was, I woke my wife up, I woke Betsy up and said, oh my God, he's the guy. Like this. And so, look, there's a lot of turns, and I appreciate the media speculating and putting things out there every step of the way that was true or not true. But we got the guy we want. We really got the guy. And the guy who's going to lead us to a national championship and bring us back to it, to the best program in the country.
John and the Mark.
Sunday Daily Times. Matt, this is for you. Pat mentioned sort of the twists and turns. This became very public in a lot of ways over the last 10 or so days. Was there any apprehension on your part when you saw the kind of public nature of this when the time came to make a decision?
The only apprehension that gives you is because you care so deeply about the young men at Iowa State. I love our kids. The only reason I'm even sitting here today is because our kids believed in Matt Campbell, and they stayed with Matt Campbell. And so I'd be lying to say there wasn't apprehension, because I love the young men that played for us and played for me at Iowa State. As things got public, I knew, it was almost Eric almost like slapped me in the head and said, "What are you doing?" Any apprehension? This is meant to be. And she was so right. And honestly, President Neely and Pat, their conversations, you just said, you know what, we're going to continue down this journey, and we're going to find out if it's the right fit for us, and it is the right fit for us.
Mark and then Bob.
Mark Brennan, Lines 247. For both of you, the Terry Smith part of this came together very quickly. Why was it important to get that part of it done? How receptive was he right off the bat? And will there be any other assistant coaches from either program that are already lined up?
Well, for us, I mean, and Terry and myself were having conversations all along the way on the journey, and so it was very easy for me, and we had discussed it too. He knew each other. Terry is Penn State. We made Terry the interim coach because I felt he was the one person in that building to unify the team and get them ready to go play as best they can, and he's shown that. So the Terry decision was an absolute no-brainer, easy, and that's a testament to Terry. And I think I've got the best football coach in the country, and I've got a partner for him who's Penn State, who will fight for Penn State, who will lead his kids. I don't know about you, but I feel really good about our chances moving forward. And I think that piece and speaks to both Terry and Matt. And they knew each other, obviously, in the past. But Terry has been incredible through this whole process. And so for me, that was a no-brainer and very easy for us.
Yeah, and I would just say it was critically important for me to keep Terry, in my opinion. Terry and I have got a great relationship from his days at Gateway. I know what he's about and what he stands for. Building a staff is so critical because you need to build it around the same character values as who you are and what you want your team to stand for. Ironically, I think Eric and I were watching the Penn State Nebraska game, and you watched, man, the intensity in the character and how this Penn State football team played. And as soon as we got into discussions about this job, it was one of the first questions that I asked is, boy, I would really like to keep Terry. What do you think? And it was a resounding yes. So the fact that Terry wants to stay and wants to be a part of this, I couldn't be more grateful. I really mean it, to work hand in hand with him and knowing what it means to play here, knowing what it means to coach here, and knowing what it means to lead here, that's huge for me. As the rest of our staff, we're going to spend the next couple of days. I know there's a lot reported out there, as usually. That's not all true right now. We're going to take our time. Again, I think if we're going to build a championship team, you better have a championship staff. And I want to take my time, and I want to have a great opportunity to talk to everybody here in-house. I think that's really important. And then have the opportunity from there to meet with our players, and then have the opportunity to start to fill out that staff. Now, are there some people that I know I want to bring from Iowa State? There certainly are, and we'll do all those things at the right time.
Bob, then Tyler.
Matt, Bob Flounders, Penn Live. Welcome to Penn State.
Thank you.
My question is for Pat. Pat, since you got here, you've been very passionate, very fiery. We talked to you in October, and you talked about the search, who you were looking for, and why it mattered. Respectfully, I wanted to ask you, because I felt that passion and that fire last week when a video came out of you addressing the Penn State team. And I felt that, and I wanted to ask you about that for a comment, but also why you felt it was important to talk to the team with the search ongoing.
Well, I'll talk to any of my athletes whenever they ask me to talk. I'm very passionate and I'm transparent with my athletes. I tell you, with my kids and my student athletes. What I will tell you about that is that I'm embarrassed. I apologize to anyone that I may have offended with that video that leaked. Personally, it's been challenging for me, but I am very passionate about Penn State, and it was 9 or 10 football players that asked want to come in and sit down, and we had an open and honest discussion. But I fell short of the standard that I should represent for all those people, all my staff that sits up there, all 833 athletes that I represent, and I can't apologize enough for those who I may have offended, and I gotta get better. But every one of my athletes know they can call me at any point in time, and I have open and honest discussions whenever they want. So we're moving on. We handle it in the family, and I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of them, and I'm excited for them to move forward.
Tyler, then Allie.
Thank you. Matt over here, Tyler Donahue from Lions 24/7. Welcome to State College. Curious if I could ask both of you on this. You got about 3 weeks with this team still engaged on the field, getting ready for a game. How do you go about discussions that are going to give you a real sense of who's staying, who's going, who's committed to what comes next, and who maybe wants to explore their other avenues when that January portal opens? How important is that for you these next few weeks, getting a feel for all that?
Yeah, I think it's critically important. I think first and foremost, period, is to get to know the young men in this program. Trust, buddy. If you want to win, if you want to have real success, trust has got to resonate from top to bottom in the program. And it starts with the player-coach relationship. And so, I'm going to work with the staff tomorrow and try to get through every staff member that touches our football program tomorrow. And then for the next 4 to 5 days, I want to meet individually with every player on our team. Why'd you come to Penn State? Man, what's going on here? Who are you? Where are you going? What's your thought process? And how do we move ourselves forward? I think when you do those things, you start to understand how we do move ourselves forward. And to just say, hey, we're going to do it this way, that's fool's gold. You got to get the information. You got to be curious. You got to ask the questions. And I really can't wait to get to know the young men in our program. And then we'll figure that out. And we'll move ourselves forward no matter what the situation is. And we'll have a great plan moving forward when the time comes.
Allie and then Max. And Allie's already here.
Allie Berube, Nittany Nation. Welcome to Happy Valley. I think about what you mentioned, 31 years old at Toledo, right? And that's one challenge. And then Iowa State's another challenge in building a program back to some success. You're inheriting a pretty successful program here. And I don't know which ring Pat is wearing right now, but he loves to talk about his
The latest wrestling.
national championship caliber of all of his programs. How do you embrace this challenge? Because it is different. And why is this the right time to take on a national championship challenge?
Well, I've always said this, our scars are our superpower. And if you're humble enough to grow through success and failure, then you continue to put yourself in position to be the best. It's when we stop growing that failure starts to seep in. And so to me, we've had championship expectations every step of the way. You're talking to the guy that lost one game in 4 years of college and, has won 5 national championships. I don't care what level it is, it's a fact. And so the reality of it is from my end of it is your scars have built you for these moments if you use them wisely. And, we've had unbelievable moments during our tenure as a football coach. We've had some great learning lessons along the way, and it's all confidently prepared me to step into this role and to continue to build the greatest college football program in the country.
We'll go Max, then Travis.
Hi, Matt. Max Ralph from Penn Live. Thanks for your time. I was hoping you could dive in a little bit to your philosophies on recruiting, both high school and portal, and as far as financially and geographically pertains to those things.
Yeah, let's start with the transfer portal to the high school piece of it. I think one of the great reasons being here is, boy, you're in the most fertile ground of the excellence of high school football in a 6 to 8 hour radius. Everything will start with building high school football and continuing to do a great job in this state and our surrounding states. Nobody's going to attack more than us. The transfer portal obviously has become a unique advantage probably in some ways, and sometimes it can be a disadvantage. But I think if you look at our history, the last couple of years, Jaden Higgins was maybe the 40th ranked transfer portal guy, and Jaden Higgins was the #1 receiver taken in the draft last year. You go to, in offensive tackle, Jalen Travis, who was drafted by the Colts, number 40th in the transfer portal, was the first transfer portal offensive tackle taken. We have a process. We know what we're looking for in the transfer portal, and we're going to have to use that to continue to supplement our football team. But we are going to be, and nobody will be better at developing their student athletes and our high school football players better than us. We've proven that every step of the way. I think you can ask Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, David Montgomery, Will McDonald. Man, the flash of the stars, that's cool on signing day. But winning football games on Saturday is what we're going to be about. And that's development. And we're going to have to be better than anybody in college football if we want to get where we want to go. You asked a little bit, tell me where am I missing the question? There was one other good part of that question. The financial aspect, I think certainly unique. I think one of the great things that we have here is the sacrifice that Pat and his team have made to, be competitive at the highest level to give yourself a chance to build the best team. Now, I think sometimes in college football we can get lost on the financial piece of it. Do I think it's important? Absolutely. But I think the reality of it, that cannot be priority #1. I want young men that want to be here at Penn State and want to win championships at Penn State. And it's got to start there. But obviously with Pat, what he's done here to give us a chance to be able to compete with everybody in college football, I'm really grateful for that.
Travis, then Johnny.
Hey, Matt, Travis Johnson here for the Associated Press. You guys have some bowl practices coming up, obviously. Wanted to know how you plan to handle that and maybe what your role would be in that period.
That's a great question. I probably need to think about that next. It's been a whirlwind, right, in every way, shape, and form. I know we got practice today. You know, I think the first thing I can do is not be a hindrance to this great team. They have done, again, to watch these guys climb back, it's been super impressive. And my respect for Terry and for the seniors on this football team, man, going to win 4 in a row, that's huge. And so I think we'll figure out, Terry and I, where's the best place, you know, that I can not be a hindrance to this team. It allows me to be able to really start to kind of build for this 26 team and yet still be around. And again, that relationships piece really start to develop that relationship with our players. So I'm going to have to, honestly, I'm going to have to walk a really fine line because that's going to be a unique challenge. But I do look forward to it, and it's a great question. And I don't know if I have the perfect answer because I think I'm going to have to work through it day by day.
Johnny, then Greg.
Matt, Johnny McGonigal with Penn Live. Thanks for your time. Nick Sirianni said the other day that you guys left Mount Union with a doctorate degree in coaching. How would you describe your relationship with Nick? Did he help at all during this decision-making process? And then what you guys collectively learned, as well as Jason Campbell, you know, at Mount Union under Coach Larry?
Yeah, you know, I would say that experience that we had as players, and you know, Nick and I were coaches together, you know, for a year at Mount Union and won a championship together as coaches. Nick was coaching the corners. I was the offensive coordinator and O-line coach, and, you know, Jason was the receiver coach. And the doctorate came because we had the humility of a leader in Coach Karras that demanded to teach us everything he knew, which is really hard to find. I mean, his ability to give us opportunities to grow as coaches, make mistakes, and fail at times, and yet get better was so rewarding. And I think all of us, any of us that are in coaching today, are so grateful. Coach Karras certainly doesn't get the credit, but what that man has accomplished, nobody has accomplished in the sport of football. And to be able to make everybody else around him better was humbling. You know, for Nick and I, we've had this incredible relationship. And, you know, we've had it during our coaching career through some of our ups and downs. Nick's been there for us. And hopefully Nick would say, man, through some of his ups and downs, man, we've been there for him. And, you know, uniquely on Thursday morning, I got like 1 million texts from Nick. And if any, you know, Nick can be a little like, he's like, I always say he's like 4 years younger than his maturity. He's like 4 years younger, you know, it's like, but like trying to be like pecking at me. And I finally called, I said, man, what do you want? He's like, man, are you coming here? And I said, well, should I come here? He said, well, I don't know anything about Penn State football. You know, I'm like, okay, well, sure, you're not helping me. But no, I think for me, to have him regionally so close, you know, we would fly out there and spend a bunch of time with Nick. You know, I'll say this story. I take a little credit to that Super Bowl team, you know, a year ago. You know, we got out there, and here's the credit I took. I watched Saquon, and it was literally their first 3 practices. And he had me out. He said, man, can you come out? I'd like you to. Awesome. Okay, come out. And I first guy out on the practice field, and I see these 2 incredible tackles. They're the first 2 guys out. And then I watch Saquon Barkley. Now, this is a credit to Penn State, too. And how that guy practiced every day that I was there. Man, watch that guy. When it was special teams, he took his position coach, and he went and did individual every day. And we walked off that field. I said, hey, listen, buddy. You're going to screw this up if you don't go win the Super Bowl. So, man, put a lot of pressure on that guy. But no, Nick has been an unbelievable friend. We've got a great relationship. We grew up very similar. His father was a high school football coach. His brother, a high school football coach. His other brother, we know, a great college football coach. That family's been great to me, and I really appreciate our friendship.
Last two questions, Greg, then Neil.
Greg Pickle from Blue White Illustrated. Pat, this is for you, and then Matt, if you have any thoughts on it, I'd appreciate those as well. Pat, when you got here, there was a football staff in place. The college football landscape was evolving, but now with this reset and what you know in 2025, what do you want to do with the general manager role in this program? How do you think that should look, operate, find that person, and what's your plan for that moving forward?
Yeah, it's actually a good joint question. I think the general manager role is critical in this new space. I mean, we're getting closer and closer to the NFL. We're not there yet, remember. Now, we're recruiting young men, and that's why this hire is so important, because they have to have a leader and a mentor. These aren't professional athletes. We'll take the money aside. But I think the general manager aspect is critical, and I think it's an important factor to the success of a program moving forward. There is a lot more to deal with. Your player personnel, you're scouting high school that we always had to scout. You're scouting every single college team, not Division I, not Power 4, D3, Ivies, D2. I mean, it is a so we obviously had the conversation about how do we build that to make sure we're getting the right talent and the right people on board. And so, yes, I think that's the GM is an important part, but then as you start to build that personnel department out, it's critical. And Matt can explain, the GM piece and what his thoughts.
Yeah, I think, Pat is so right, and you got to remember, we've almost had to be in what I guess some of the blue blood programs kind of got away with because they had the resources to do it. We had to have a GM at Iowa State because we didn't have those resources. And so we almost had to be better evaluators in high school, better evaluators in the transfer portal, because it was the only shot we could get. How could we be early on guys? How could we do that? So we have an unbelievable GM, Derek Hoosier, who was with us. And I mean, we had to create our own collective, okay? So, we didn't have Pat running. We had to do it all ourselves. And it's almost one of the great things that probably advantage that we had, because we had to do it by ourselves. We didn't have an athletic director working with us to make that. We had to build all those things from scratch. And I think it allows us to come and partner with Pat and Derek Hoosier, who was with me. It really evolved into the GM role. I mean, writing contracts. He created the contracts at Iowa State. So the reality of it is we're really lucky. And Derek is one of the absolute bright minds in all of football. And, is already here with us and started that. And now Derek's role will be exactly what Pat said. We're going to have to build out the greatest, team underneath Derek that we possibly can. Not only a coaching staff, but certainly, player acquisition staff and retention staff that we can find. And we look forward to that journey.
Last question to Neil.
Hi, Neil Rudell, Altoona Mirror. Congratulations. Thank you. You mentioned going into the Lash building, getting goosebumps. Can you trace your roots with Penn State a little bit more? Had you been here? And also, how much interaction did you know James and Bill O'Brien at conventions, and had you ever met Joe?
Yeah. So I'm going to say no to all because that's honest. I've never been to Penn State. My greatest asset is what I talked about. Todd Blackledge, what his father has meant to me. He's been a huge advocate for me from the University of Toledo to at Iowa State, and what Todd's friendship has meant to me was huge. Matt Millen, who was doing our games at Toledo, and I'm 31, 32 years old, and I didn't have any idea, and just the mentor that he became to me through my journey in football. To the absolute honesty of my grandparents are two of the greatest humans in my life. They had a profound impact on me. And my great-grandparents, and their history and their work ethic and the pride that they took in Penn State football and Coach Paterno, to the fact of the matter of it is I know we're at linebacker U. And I know we might as well be in running back U. And you could probably go down the line of probably almost every position group. I know the history of this place, and I really look forward to spending time with all the great people. James, Coach O'Brien, I haven't, you know, again, I'm not the guy that came up probably like some of those guys. I came up in the D3 football world, and so I'm all right with that. And but I know they're great men, and I know they did a great job here.
Thank you very much. That concludes the Q&A portion. We're going to do a little tidying up here, and then we'll do our photos. We'll ask Neely and the Campbell family just to come over here, and we'll set some photos up.